So I've been getting the same question in the Cyberflow Discord for months now. Should I learn C++? And my answer has always been the same. If you're serious about security, not learning C++ is like being a mechanic who's never looked under a hood. You can get by, but you don't really know what's happening. I want to show you why C++ is probably the most exciting language you can learn as someone in this field, and how to actually make it feel like that instead of a university course that makes you want to cry. First, let me be honest about something. C++ has a reputation. People treat it like this ancient, terrifying thing that only gray-bearded systems programmers touch. And yeah, it can be complex. But that complexity is also exactly why it's so powerful for security work. You are writing code that talks directly to memory, directly to hardware, with almost no abstraction layer between you and the machine. The way most people try to learn C++ is completely backwards. They open a textbook, spend 3 weeks on syntax, do some exercises about printing numbers to the screen, get bored, and quit. The reason it feels boring is because the projects are boring. The language itself is not boring. What you can build with it is genuinely insane. So here's how I'd actually do it. Start with learnc++.com. And I mean actually start there. It's free, it's comprehensive, it's written by people who understand the language deeply, and it doesn't waste your time. And get comfortable with the basics in about 2 weeks. Pointers, memory management, classes, the stack versus the heap. Don't rush past pointers because pointers are where everything gets interesting for security work. Understanding that a pointer is just a variable that holds a memory address and that you can manipulate that address directly is the moment C++ stops feeling like a language and starts feeling like a superpower. Once you have the basics, the projects are where everything changes. And this is the part nobody talks about enough. Your first real project should be a port scanner. Not because it's the most impressive thing you can build, but because building one forces you to learn socket programming, how your code actually opens network connections, sends data, reads responses, and suddenly you understand what Nmap is doing under the hood at a level that reading documentation never gives you. You wrote it. You know exactly what's happening. That feeling is worth more than any certification. After that, build a keylogger for your own machine. I know how that sounds, but hear me out. Building one teaches you how Windows hooks work, how the operating system handles input events at a low level, and how software intercepts system calls. The same knowledge that goes into building one is the same knowledge that goes into detecting one. Then write a basic shellcode injector in a controlled lab environment. This is where everything you've learned about memory, pointers, and system calls comes together in one project. And the understanding you come out with is something Python programmers doing security work simply don't have access to. You are operating at the level where the actual interesting stuff in security research happens. This is also where I'll say something honest. Learning C++ for security is one of those things where the resources are everywhere, but the structured path through them is not. You find a great tutorial on socket programming, then a blog post on memory exploitation, then a YouTube video on Windows internals, and you're jumping between things with no clear picture of how it all connects. The C++ course inside Cyberflow is built specifically around this. Not C++ as an abstract language, but C++ as a tool for security work, with the projects that actually matter and the concepts explained in the context of how they're used in the field. Everything connected. Link is in the description. Code Cyberflow50 for 50% off. Now back to it. For resources beyond learnc++.com, the Cherno on YouTube is probably the best C++ content creator alive right now. His tone is engaging, he goes genuinely deep, and he doesn't talk to you like you're stupid. Watch his series on how C++ works, his videos on memory and pointers specifically, and his game engine series if you want to see what serious C++ architecture looks like in practice. Also read The C++ Programming Language by Bjarne Stroustrup eventually. He invented C++, so he has some authority on the subject. But don't start there. It's a reference, not a tutorial. For the security-specific side of C++, read actual shellcode. Go on exploit.db, find the C-based exploit, read through it line by line, and figure out what every part does. This is uncomfortable at first, and then it becomes one of the most educational things you can do. You are reading the output of people who understand this language and this field at an extremely high level, and that exposure changes how you think about both. The other thing worth saying is that C++ makes everything else you already know better. If you know Python, learning C++ will make your Python faster because you'll understand what's actually happening when Python runs your code. If you do web security, understanding memory corruption at the C++ level changes how you think about certain vulnerability classes entirely. It's not a replacement for anything, it's the thing underneath everything. The honest timeline if you put in consistent work: 2 weeks on fundamentals with learncplus.com, 1 month building the projects I mentioned, and by month 3, you're reading real exploit code and actually understanding it. Not all of it, but enough to know what you're looking at and what to learn next. A lot of you have been asking about the course material and the roadmap I personally follow for this, so I put a full C++ learning roadmap with all the resources linked in the first comment. Everything in order, nothing skipped. Grab it.